Hey everybody, it's Chris Burfield, and I've got Christina Troha with Troluna Inc. here on the call with me today. And the reason I brought her on is I wanted to discuss the medical necessity of durable medical equipment. And I know that there are chiropractors out there, and not just chiropractors, but I'm sure there are medical doctors and physical therapists and whatnot, that every single patient that comes into their practice gets prescribed durable medical equipment. And when a doctor does that, that can lead to some problems, especially if it can lead to red flags that go up. So I wanted to have Christina just kind of talk about her personal experience with docs that she's heard of or she's known to prescribe durable medical equipment with every single patient, and what her thoughts on that are, and whether or not that's actually an issue that could get them into hot water with the insurance company. So, Christina, thanks for being on the call today.
Thanks for having me.
So, what's your take on it? So, some people might argue, hey, you know what? Like, I've got a patient that comes in that has back pain. They're going to need a TENS unit, and that's kind of their mindset. And they prescribe every single patient that comes in with back pain a TENS unit or some sort of lumbar pump or something like that. Or hey, every patient that comes in that has neck pain is also going to get a TENS unit. So, what's your take on that? Is that a good thing, or is that a bad thing, or what would you recommend to doctors?
I think a lot of it stems from at least my personal experience. I know a lot of doctors use the stim in their office, so I think they just consider, they're using it in the office. Why would everybody not benefit from using the stim at home? Where that's not always the case. So, my goal is just to look out for the best interests of the doctor. So what we do is when we check the benefits of a patient to see if they have insurance coverage for whatever type of durable medical equipment that might be ordered, is we ask for the diagnosis codes of the patient up front as well. So we can see, what's wrong with the patient and why the equipment's being ordered. And from my experience, that is a great way to gather that information and kind of gauge what's going on. So like when I see a patient, or a doctor rather, sending over maybe a couple patients every single day that might throw up a red flag, maybe that's what he thinks should happen. Maybe he thinks everybody would benefit from that. And that's not always the case. Some people don't quite benefit from the different types of durable medical equipment the way other people do. And when it comes down to it, it's all based on what's medically necessary. So we really try to work, obviously, with the doctors and the patients and find out what's best. And that's why, too, it's always an individual basis. Each patient is their own individual case. Okay,
gotcha. And have you had doctors in the past where they sent a patient over and you looked at the diagnosis code and you was like, hey, doc, this actually, this diagnosis code isn't actually going to be deemed medically necessary for this particular equipment? Has that happened with your docs where you've caught that and spotted it and then informed them of it?
Sure. We have had enough experience now to know things like that, and so we'll explain that to the doctor, and then that person, they won't need the equipment, and they'll just go back to their in-office treatments that they get at the office.
Man, I tell you what, I think that is so awesome that you do that, because I actually had a friend of mine that was using a DME company, and he got to a point where it was, he was being paid a fee for a consult, I guess it was like a consulting fee sort of thing by the company. But he was sending every single patient that came through his door over to this company, every single person. Whether they had just real mild back pain or they had severe back pain or whatever. And that, unfortunately, he ended up getting audited by the insurance companies after a while, because they were like, hey, you're prescribing a lot of DME equipment. And unfortunately for him as well, his DME company really didn't care enough about him to watch that, to pay attention to that and say, hey, whoa, doc, you're sending over 3 or 4 people a day. That's a little excessive, so let's really make sure that these people really need this equipment, because the last thing you want is for an insurance company to come and audit, because you end up owing typically you end up owing them a lot of money. So
right. And the fact is, I mean, we're a durable medical equipment provider. We provide equipment. We're here when the doctors need us. You know, I've honestly heard of other DME providers calling doctors on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Like, hey, do you have any patients? Hey, do you have any patients? I mean, how does that substantiate medical necessity whatsoever? I've heard of DME providers saying that they have quotas that need to be met every month. Like, that just blows my mind. So, I mean, we're here when you need us. We don't call and hassle doctors. If you need something, then you can call and order it from us. Other than that, you know, we kind of remain silent. We don't bug you at all. You know, you order equipment from us and that's it.
yeah, that's almost like encouraging the doctor to get into trouble. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's just like, hey, dude, you got a
want
quota
that.
this month. You got 20 patients, and you've only sent us like 4. You know, you need to up the ante a little bit. So that's not cool at all. So. Okay, well that's really good to know. So if a chiropractor watching this wants to, I know you have this thing called the 3-patient challenge, and I love that because it gives doctors an opportunity to be able to get their feet wet with your company and see if you can actually do what you say you can do. So would you mind just explaining real quick what the 3-patient challenge is?
Sure. All we do is we get a little bit of information about your company and where you're located. And you can send over information on any 3 patients that would benefit from any type of durable medical equipment, and we can check to see if they have coverage for that equipment. And it's just an easy way to try out our services, to see if you like what we have to offer, to see if it would be a good fit for your practice.
Okay, awesome. And then how do they get a hold of you?
You can call us at 412-249-8493.
Okay, great. And so call Christina today. Take her 3-patient challenge. Just get your feet wet a little bit. See if you and Troluna can work well together. I know you will. She's awesome. Her whole entire team is awesome. So thanks, Christina, for being on the call. And in the meantime, everyone, keep saving lives.